All right, Joellen, you know I always look forward to this every season, right?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, well, we got to look at what we've done this last season. And I have to tell you, the salvia did great.
Yeah.
Marigolds, but the petunias, oh my goodness.
No.
I guess petunias do not like irrigation.
Yeah.
So we won't be putting and look, we've got some volunteer vinca from the previous years. So, but it's time to put in pansies for the fall and winter season.
Okay.
And it's time to take all of this up. So let's get started and we'll gather this and put it in the compost pile.
All right. All right.
Yep, not much. Now to prepare for our pansy planting, I'm gonna let you put that one in there. For our pansy planting, we're gonna put down, now there's still some mulch on this from previously, but we'll dress it up just a little bit. But first we need to put down a complete fertilizer that has a little bit of temperature deployment, meaning that depending on the temperature is how much with water it will release to the plants.
Yeah.
And we need to do that at the beginning of this fall because we want the plants to get off to a good start.
Okay.
So there's no real rhyme or reason to it, just you want to put down enough. So what my mother used to call feeding the chickens. So you just put enough down so you can see it, and it's not necessarily, I don't want to put too much down, just enough. Then we'll get the mulch out because these pansies are so small that we don't need to put the mulch down after we plant them. And let's just pour out a little bit all along. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can just kind of move it around just a little bit just to dress it up. Cover up our fertilizer. This year, for this fall, I picked a mix of pansies with what they call faces, which means they have a dark center that tends to make them look like faces.
Okay.
And it's just a mix of colors. We've not used this particular pansy before, so we're going to see how it does this year.
Yeah, let's see how it does.
And as we get them out, very nice, pretty pansy.
Nice.
The roots are nicely spaced in the container. Nothing terrible. I would not try to disturb these because it looks just fine with plenty of soil space between the roots.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start setting them out, and then we'll set them out, and then we'll plant them.
Okay. And how are you going to set them out? I know there's a rhyme to what you do.
I usually put them in a pyramid or a triangular grid pattern. That way when they start filling in, they'll close in together and weigh one solid mass of pansies.
Got it.
And we have to remember, we have daffodil bulbs in this bed.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
So if we come across those, we will try to go around them.
Okay.
Again, like we have two round through here, we'll put one here, and then when I come back for the next row, we will go in between.
Got it.
Okay. All right, well, I'll let you knock some of these, what we call knock them out of the pot.
All righty.
And then I'll start placing them.
Okay. Sounds like a plan to me. And squeeze on the bottom a little bit.
Yep, and you can have the tag also. And pansies get about 8 to 12 inches round. So you want to space them, we're going to space them about 8 inches apart. Because we want them to fill in fairly fast. And I'm going to start making the second row by going in between these. looks like we'll have enough for a 4th row up front, but we'll plant these 3 first. It'll be easier to reach them. There we go. Well, now that we have these 3 rows set out, we'll go ahead and plant them before we finish the 1st row on the front.
Okay.
And again, when you're planting these pansies, you don't want to plant these too deep, because right at the soil surface of pansies are the crown of the plant, and they do not like to be buried.
Okay.
So I tend to plant these a little shallow and maybe throw a couple of pieces of bark from the mulch up over the top of them, but I don't like to bury them because they do better without being buried.
All right, so don't bury the crown, right?
Don't bury the crowns.
Shallow.
So since there's mulch here, we're going to move the mulch out of the way. And any weeds we find.
Definitely.
And we'll dig our hole. Set our plant in, again, without burying
the crown.
The crown.
Got it.
And push the mulch back over around it.
Okay.
Of course, the pansies we've got here probably were grown from plugs that a company bought to grow them on, but you can buy seeds of pansies. The problem is their germination temperature is so low, around 60, 65 degrees, and you know, a lot of the country, like we would not be able to do it because they would never germinate because it's too hot here. So growing from seed and further north in zones 4, 3, 2, you could probably grow the seeds because it'd be cool enough for them. But in this part of the country, not. It's just too hot.
Right. All right.
Well, that's the 3 rows.
About that. So 3
Yeah.
rows?
Now we got room for 1 more row. We have some more pansies. So we'll
All right.
finish the last row. That's good. So now we'll plant this last row. I haven't run into any of the bulbs.
No, I haven't either. Yeah, come to think of
So we're doing good. And we would like mature plants because these will look fine now and clear into spring when we change them out. So we get a lot of season out of our pansies, whereas some of the other zones don't get as many months of growth out of them. In fact, some places use these as summer annuals. They have such cool weather, so we aren't that lucky. We have to make sure that during times of drought that they will have some water, especially when they're starting to establish.
All right.
Yay, we
How
got to
about
the
that?
end.
We got there.
So that's the Faces pansy bed for the fall and the winter.
All right. Can't wait to see what it looks like.
Gonna be a lot of pretty colors.
I guess we get it watered and all that good stuff now, right?
Yes. Yeah, water it in.
Thank you, Joellen. We appreciate that.
No problem.
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To find out more information on this topic, just click on the familyplotgarden.com link in the description.